Also, a big thank you to Daniel Martin for mentioning the Maya Angelou Meghan mashup video on CBS, demonstrating how her supporters are just really out here for her. Like, that was enough, but to know that she actually saw the video and that you sent it to her, I still can't believe it. I really can't. But, I really, really appreciate that or knowing that, because no one should go through what she is going through or has dealt with. And we're starting to see how it's just so many more people are recognizing that, and they're refusing to keep silent about it. But I've always, at the center of making those videos, have said, okay, well, what if on just some random stuff, Meghan or Harry, because I've made videos for him, the one for Archie, the Dear Baby Sussex. What if they just stumbled upon it? You know what I'm saying? Because the internet is global. That's the unique thing about the time that we're living in, where you can put something out there and it's just out there. Anybody can see it, just what if? And so to have confirmation that she actually did see it, for all I know, she could have hated it, because I don't know. All I know is that she saw it. But to know that she knows that people are out here from afar sending her as many good vibes as we can. We don't know what it's like to be her. We don't know what it's like to go through what she has gone through. And at the scale and the level of scrutiny, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, let alone somebody who is as kind and as gracious as she has shown herself to be. So, Daniel, again, thank you. Thank you, Gail, King, and everybody at CBS for just doing the segment. I just appreciate Gail having Daniel on, someone who Meghan knows and trusts, that can talk about her strength, that can talk about her resilience and her kindness and just who they know her to be, whether she's a duchess or not, kind of like how Ellen and also Gail has had Harry's good friend Nacho on their shows to talk about what he knows to be true about Harry and how what he knows about Harry differs from what the British media is trying to convince the public about Harry. So I mean, I really appreciate that. So many people were saying, oh, congratulations. I mean, I will accept those congratulations. Thank you. But at the end of the day, the video is not for me, other than Meghan, right? It's not really for anyone in particular, but it's for anyone who could possibly pull something from it. The congratulations, while they're kind, for me, it has always been about Meghan knowing that she's loved. And that's basically what I saw from everybody who even interacted with that news that that Meghan saw the video, was just that, or even when Daniel originally replied to the tweet on Twitter of the video that, hey, just let Meghan know that she's loved. Like, literally 9 out of 10 comments were individuals saying, because they know Meghan knows, Daniel knows Meghan. And if he wanted to, he could just send her the tweet and then she can scroll and see all the comments herself. Tell Meghan she's loved. Just please tell her that we love her. Tell her we are here fighting for her. Tell her that, we don't believe a word of what's being said. And all we want her to know is that she should keep her head up, stay strong. We love you, period. That's it. So for me, that's what it's been about. For you, I'm sure that's what it's about, is for her to know. So the video is just really another vehicle to deliver that message to Meghan and Harry, of course, as well. Again, thank you. Thank you, Meghan. Girl, yes, queen, yes. Hey, Meghan, I know you're not listening to my podcast, and really don't do it. But thank you, Daniel. Thank you to the squad for just sending Meghan your good vibes, your love, and because, as Harry said in the statement, they need it. Who doesn't need it? And to be honest, we have no shortage of it. So we right here with you, sis. So don't think for a second that it's any different than that. So just keep doing what you do best, and that's being you. Waking up every morning and being you. Period. Done. And Archie's mom and Harry's boo. You feel me? And an inspiration to just so many people around the globe. And the thing is, you were that before you were the Duchess of Sussex. So I know you're never going to forget that because you know who your mama is. But that's just something that we all admire about Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. So be who you are, know who you are. That's a challenge for so many people of all ages. So that in and of itself is a win. And it's something that I personally pull from very regularly because, Meghan, you really, really inspire me. So thank you for just being who you are. That's all you got to do. And if people have a problem with that, then that's just it. It's their problem. Let me pivot for a minute and say shout out to the 70 plus members of Parliament, Madams of Parliament, led by Miss Holly Lynch. The letter itself was dynamite.
You got an unexpected phone call this morning.
Yes, I did, here in Westminster. Got a phone call. It was Buckingham Palace asking me was I available to speak to the Duchess of Sussex. She was calling to thank myself and other women MPs for standing with her, sending the open letter to say we as women in public office absolutely understand what she's going through. Although in very different public roles, we stand with her in solidarity to say that we shouldn't be tearing down women in public life through the press or otherwise. And so, yeah, she was pleased to have seen that letter.
And what did you say to her?
As a fairly new mum myself, the challenges of both being in the public eye, managing childcare, managing public responsibilities can all be a challenge. So we did discuss that, but yeah, we were quite happy to stand with her in recognising that what she's going through has on occasion had xenophobic undertones. We're not happy about that at all. We stand with her in challenging that, and we will look to do everything we can at this end if some of our national press do not have healthier, shall we say, interests in her life.
And you think there are colonial racist undertones to it?
I do. I've been really concerned about some of the narratives, some of the articles that have been incredibly sexist, but also that she is not from this country, she's from elsewhere, and that we're not happy about that. I'm afraid that's unacceptable in this day and age. She's here, she's married our prince, they've got a young son. We really want to welcome her to our society, and I'm afraid not all of the articles in our national press really reflect that, and it's time that that stops.
And it didn't shy away from the truth. The undertones are racist. They have been racist from day one, really before day one, because Harry told y'all what he was and wasn't going to tolerate when it came to the reporting of his wife, then girlfriend. And really not much has changed since then, except the fight that they are willing to put up. And I'm talking about Harry and Meghan and the people who support them. Because clearly the British press, they know they trash. Like, they know they're garbage. But it's still good to have the world now see entities like these members of parliament, like, you know, Michelle Obama, Oprah, people who have voices, you know, because all they do, only with a minimal amount of success, if at all they do to regular people like us, you know, on Twitter and social media is they try to marginalize us, call us names, bots. We've been called every name in the book. But you can't do that to 70 members of parliament. That's not so easy. They will try. They will call them liberals. They will call them, you know, whatever talking point the right wing has gone over. They're going to throw that at the people who support Harry and Meghan. And that's why it's so important that the letter is signed by women of all political persuasions. Like, that's the most important thing to take away from it initially when you see the body of women who have come out and have said they're going to support Duchess Meghan in her fight against these lies and the unfair reporting that these entities are doing on her. You know, it's unfair and it's bullying. You can't call them all bleeding heart liberals. One of the ways that I've seen some people try to criticize the actual letter is that, oh, well, don't they have something better to do than to get involved in something like this? Maybe that's what their constituents want them to do. Maybe people have written to them and said, I don't like the way that the Duchess of Sussex is being treated. She's new to this country. I just don't see why we stand for it. Y'all don't know that the people didn't ask for this, at least in some part. Whether they did or didn't, I guess there's always going to be some effort to quash any kind of support for Harry and Meghan, no matter who it comes from. But you can't deny the power in this. People can try as they might to dismiss it, but it's unprecedented, right? It's still unprecedented. I've never seen anyone come out this forcefully in support of a royal, because at face value, you think, well, a royal, a duchess, they don't need anybody speaking for her, But this one actually does. The reporting is a tad bit different. Therefore, the response is going to be different. And I really appreciated seeing it. Meghan is also a feminist duchess, right? That's kind of how people lovingly describe her. A feminist duchess, a feminist princess. We knew she was all about empowerment. She told us that from the very beginning. From the very beginning, when her and Harry were still engaged, she said, well, I'm a feminist, and, my work in the royal family is going to be centered around girls and women empowerment and education and access. Period, sis. That's what she said. That's what she said. I remember she was wearing a navy blue dress when she said it. So, she hasn't changed who she is. She still is who she is, and so the fact that 72 women came out and supported her, it shows that they support her in who she is, but also, as we know, they don't stand for the type of bullying that she's going through. So to see Meghan go out and support women, always to be talking about ways that she wants to use her platform to improve the lives of women of all economic backgrounds, social backgrounds, racial backgrounds. To see her do that same work just weeks ago in South Africa, and then for her to come home, to bullying, it was nice to see a British body do that and support her and say, we as women, we want to support one of our own, because Meghan is an English woman now too. She's the English rose they didn't know they needed. So that's important too. Shay. And so when I see these two entities, right, up against one another, Parliament and the royal family, I know it's not the full Parliament, but all of the women on the letter are members of Parliament. Next to the institution of the royal family, right? You can't help but to, compare response. When you see Harry and Meghan at the center, they're literally fighting for their lives, y'all. See the response of one versus the non-response of the other. And again, I'll say it again, I don't know who has said what to them behind the scenes and in private, but I know what's not shown. I know what has not been shown publicly, because you can say a lot and never have to use a word. You never have to release a statement, but you can show with your actions that you support, your brother or your son or, your nephew or whatever, grandson, girl. But I look at the members of Parliament and I say, well, they feel empowered. They are empowered. They know their power. And I look at the royal family and I kind of see them as sitting ducks in a way. We know they're sitting on their hands, right? Or at least it feels like that. But girl, show me some evidence to the contrary, because that's what I'm seeing, right? But I see a body that knows its power and is using it, and one that knows its power but is afraid to use it. Or they're just deliberately not using it. So on the one hand, you have these 72 ladies who are elected, right? They have their power by election. So they're elected to office and they're fully aware of the times that we're living in and that this is a moment in time. Like, it's a moment in history that people are going to look at. And then you have the royal family that occupies a historical monarch. And they're completely dismissive of the current times that we're living in, you know, and the climate that we're in and how Brexit and, you know, the polarization of really people all over the Western world, and that includes the media, how that is like directly impacting people in your family. They're completely ignoring it. And if this were another time in history, that might be the quote unquote appropriate thing to do when you're talking about the sixth in line and his wife, right? But see, things are a little bit different because the sixth in line, and I'll say this every episode on this podcast if I have to, the sixth in line, whether y'all want to believe it or not, and his wife are carrying the royal family into the modern age, right? No, they're not the future queen, future king, but they're the only ones that anybody is talking about. So now we're talking about relevance. And if you don't have relevance as a monarchy, what do you have? So it's a moment in time. The women are looking at it and realizing they want to be on the right side of history, right? They want to be on the right side of this moment. But understand this, the royal family is not oblivious. They just don't care. They think that the never explain, never complain method works in every situation. And of course, it has been documented that they use that selectively. So then now it's like, you're ignoring this deliberately because we know you don't ignore everything. So again, the institution is selective. Let's talk about relevancy. Women like Holly Lynch only gain more relevance in society going forward because of actions like the ones she took with regard to the open letter to the Duchess of Sussex. Essentially not being afraid to speak out and do the right thing, regardless of how it's received. So again, we have the first feminist princess, and not just feminist in words, but feminist in deeds. And they see what works for the time, and they decided that it fits their constituency and themselves. So these members of parliament, they support the way of the future. That is a long-sighted view. The short-sighted view is to do what the royal family is doing and just ignore it and hope it goes away. Hope Harry and Meghan can take care of it on their own. I don't know what that looks like in a month. I don't know what it looks like in a year or 10 years even, but do they know what receipts are? Do they know what the internet is? Do they know that people don't even have to have a memory at all because they have Google? People are not going to, maybe I'm putting too much faith in people, but I don't think a whole lot of people are going to soon forget the hypocrisy, especially given that Princess Diana was in the same situation and she lost her life behind it. And not only that, but to have Harry directly reference that more than twice, or at least twice, and the royal family not say, "We got you, boo. You are our son. You are my brother. Do you think I would ever let something like that happen to your family? Over my dead body." That's what that should be. We don't have any indication that that's actually what the tea is over there. We don't. So I think they think it'll just take care of itself. It's going to go away. We never complain. We never explain. Girl, we're the royals. We live in castles and we're rich, rich, rich. And just ignoring the fact that two of their own are literally out here fighting for their dignity every day. Yeah, that's a losing approach. It's a lazy approach too. And that's why they do things like buy Instagram followers for the future king and future queen.